All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Life Between the Six with Cody Cropper. As always, your host, Brandon and Cody. Another guest, but for some reason it's not a goalkeeper this time.
Nope. ZAREK Valentine, the legend, MLS veteran, the man, the myth.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it. It's about time.
Yes.
Ironically,
it's funny. Ironically, this is the second time we've had him on. It's the second guest in a row that we have recorded with, yet this is the only interview you guys have ever heard.
So far.
We
were talking about your Puerto Rican caps back then.
Yeah. But I still at 4. We'll get more soon. We have some pre-Gold Cup qualifying coming up. The draw is April 14th. We would have to win 2 games against, something like Martinique or Trinidad is one of the top seeds, Suriname. Guyana is another, I think 6. So there's top 6 seeds, and then they funnel in the rest of them. We win 2 games and you're in. So that'll be the first time in Federation history. I think we have a good chance. It's just, how these games are. They're CONCACAF games. Depends if we play on a good field in Florida. Apparently, I think we have a good shot. If we have to go away, those games always get a little tricky.
Yeah.
So your home games are, I hate to say in the United States, but like the proper 50. You're not played in Puerto Rico.
They're on the island. They're on there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So they just moved over. The national stadium was a baseball stadium because Puerto Rico is known for their baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Shared with, I think, the baseball stadium, and then they kind of we went to Mayagüez, which is the opposite side of the island, for the trips that I've been on, turf field. So fine, they went to turf, ball moves great. But recently they went back to the stadium in San Juan, and they can get a bigger crowd, right? It's the capital. Just a lot, better atmosphere, I would say, from getting, 2,000-ish in Mayagüez, they probably got between 5 and 10. And again, we haven't played great competition, to be fair, since I've been a part of the games. We played Cayman Islands, great away trip.
Great away trip. Fantastic.
Yeah. Pull my arm. I guess I got honey. What do you want me to do? International, dude.
I got a call up. Got to pay the bills somehow.
I know. We went to St. Kitts, another one that's just like, oh man, our hotel is just right smack dab on the beach. We're in British Virgin Islands. God, it's tough. But in terms of competition, it hasn't been the highest level. But I'm curious to see the team go against some better opponents. Like Trinidad, proper CONCACAF team that's been there for a year. One of them, Curacao, I think that we might have to play. Elroy Room, I think, is the one who got picked up last year I guess it was like 4 years ago now at Gold Cup when they came and balled out. So no, I'm excited. Should be a lot of fun.
All right. Yeah. Look, Zarek's always got a fun fact. He's always got something going on. You're kind of like, all right, like cool situation. So ironically, Zarek, you're in Minnesota with me, and Cody ran away. So
yeah, I did. I got a little sunburn today, actually. So the old shoulders.
Me too, probably.
I was gonna say it's about as nice as it's been up here for the first time.
Yeah, I've just been seeing all the ice melt on FaceTime, so that's nice.
That's right.
So you guys are very happy with that.
How's Minnesota so far?
It's been awesome. We got a foot of snow last week, and it was 75 today. So I don't know if this is normal.
No,
but I'll tell you what, it's been a lot different than Houston temperature wise, but awesome. It's been beautiful. I'm excited to see the lakes starting to melt, and they're everywhere. Not that I didn't know they were everywhere, but they're you get glossed over because you think it might just be snow, and it's like that's actually a giant lake.
Yep.
That I thought was just a bunch of snow. So it's been really cool seeing that. So it's we love where we live, and we're excited to have the proper. I don't know if we skipped over spring just now with that, which just we go into it, but we're excited for summertime.
There's no spring here, unfortunately. And we'll probably get one more snow before June. So good thing you guys have your indoor facility. Don't take the bubble down is what we like to say. But anyways, Zarek's here. We have MLS match week 7 in the books. We have, again, just more movement within the table. And the Eastern Conference, Cincinnati continues to stay at first. New England now second. Atlanta slipping to third. Columbus in fourth. So there's your top four. Four very strong teams. And only 4 points between fourth and first. So they keep it nice and competitive. On the other side in the Western, Seattle now first. St. Louis won the amazing run to open the season. They've now lost 2 in a row. Zarek knows a little bit about that. But Seattle in first, St. Louis second, LAFC third, and Dallas fourth, ? And I'm going to go ahead and round down to Minnesota in fifth for UZ, but 5 points between fifth and first there. So again, between 5 and 4 points in amongst the top. And this continues to be just some really, really interesting results. This weekend, or this episode, we're going to kick it off. We have 3 matches we picked out. But Cody, how did your predictions go on games to watch this weekend?
2 of 3, I would say, were pretty good. I think the Philly Cincinnati game was okay. It just wasn't as electric as I thought it would be. That said, after looking at some of the statistics from that game, I saw that Philadelphia went from a 4 at the back to 5 at the back. I think Jim Curtin kind of just trying to tie some things up there defensively to stop the bleeding and maybe get that Philadelphia Union train rolling.
Blake
However,
was back.
It did not work. He was.
They actually had rotated a bunch for the Champions League game. That's the main one of the big reasons they did the different formation. I think Elliott and Martinez were the only guys. The rest of the team was just like everyone knew, and I think it's like, hey, these are the guys who are healthy. Like, how can we kind of make this look put together? And you have Harriel, who's one of the right backs, playing like center back next to Elliott, right? And then they kind of make a few changes and stuff like that, but they had a heavy rotated. Like it's interesting because, and then obviously to dive into it a little bit deeper, Pat Noonan was the old Philly assistant coach.
Yep.
And it's interesting to see how well he's done with their 3-5-2 and whether that's something they had in their back pocket in Philly or not. But
yeah, you're saying it's Cincinnati.
Yes. So Cincy's been playing the 3 now, and they figured it out at this point, right? They're not figuring out. They're doing pretty well with it. So it's interesting to see if Philly adjusted to the 3 to adjust to Cincinnati, or if it was just, these are the players we have, we're going to try to do this, because Philly is such a machine in terms of what they do. They have a very clear identity. So to see them switch formations, whether it's the personnel or whether they're trying to adapt to what Pat is doing, is interesting. And obviously only Jim probably knows that, because I don't think he'd be like, oh yeah, we want to try to do this. Like, now he's probably like, well, this is just how the players felt. But it's interesting, and it's almost a tip of the cap, right, to someone who worked under Jim. Like, hey, if we're doing this to help mitigate you, like, clearly it's going all right.
Yeah, I agree. However, it wasn't as electric of a game as I thought it was going to be. That said, I was 2 out of 3 to answer your question. Okay.
Not bad. Hey man, not bad. Tough day back for Andre coming back. Picked up the yellow card and gave away the penalty for the only goal. But again, it's got Cincinnati firmly up top. Look, they're 5 wins, no losses, 2 draws. They are undefeated. And as I quick scan, them and LAFC are the only teams still undefeated. Obviously, Minnesota was up until very recently. So it just shows you how good Cincy are doing. So credit to them. Columbus continuing their fine run, beating DC 2-0. But the first game on our roster, gentlemen, is LAFC 3, Austin 0. Pour one out for your friends in Austin. It is not it this season. No. From being one of the top teams in the league last season, being a highly predicted team for a championship run. They are in 9th in the West with only 2 wins, 3 losses, and a draw, Cody. -4 goal difference. Nothing's going their way.
No, and I think a lot of the issues, at least from what I'm seeing, are offensive woes, right? In the first 5 games in 2022, they had 13 goals scored. This year, they have 6. And I don't know if it's that their offensive personnel just isn't clicking this year, or if there might be some bigger issues that are impacting the on-field play. However, it's just it seems like offensive woes.
Oh, you got Driussi up there, the Driussi drip. We saw a couple of nasty goals from him early in the season, Zarek, but I don't know if it's because he's playing his son in midfield or what. It's just not popping for Austin.
The nepotism is real in MLS.
I mean, Josh, apparently Owen scored a banger against Salt Lake, if I'm not mistaken. I think that part of it is Jossie's new to the system. And not to necessarily say that that's the key, but Jossie is new. I think Will Bruin signed there as well, if I'm not mistaken. So they do have two new forwards. And the thing is, in MLS, once you kind of surprise teams a little bit in terms of how well you do or your style of play, teams will eventually adjust and adapt. That's just how it is. And I think that at times people thought maybe the key might be, let's press Austin, right? They take a lot of risks. Let's try to press them and create goals. Dallas had a lot of success with that in the past, especially away. I think they've had a few really high scoring games. And then some people choose the effect of like, let's play on the counter, right? And let's create goals. And I think this past game, if you look at a few, I mean, this Bouanga guy is on an absolute tear. He has, I think, 11 goals. I saw a thing. It's like 11 goals and 2 assists in the last 630 minutes. Like that's ridiculous statistics.
11 goals and 2 assists, and I think 2 assists in all comps. So for the season, I mean, he's on fire.
Oh yeah, and if I didn't watch the game, was again part of the Apple thing. All the games are pretty much along the same times, or we're catching little bits and pieces. But from what it looked like, a few of the goals again were against the maybe not against the run of play, but on some sort of counters. Like, hey, we're going to let them expose themselves a little bit and then bop, hit them. Because one's a back post ball that he kind of roofs up. One of them is a back cross that he smacks, I think. So there's a few of them that I think are exposing some of the potential, I would say, unbalanced portions of Austin at this point. But they have a smart coach, smart players. I'm sure they'll figure it out. Teams go through highs and lows in MLS. That's just how it is.
Yeah, and it is early, right? We all know that it's not how you start in MLS, it's how you finish, and gaining that, that momentum going into the end of the season and into playoffs is really what matters.
Yeah.
I mean, every team's going to make it besides like 4.
Yeah.
Well, there's that. So LAFC with 26 shots, 6 on target to Austin's 9 with 4 on target. That 8 block shots. So, they're stepping to the ball. Austin's goalkeeper Stuver only had to make 3 saves, or only got to make 3 saves, depending on if you watch the highlights. Look at it. What?
I said, depending on how you look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But even LAFC's goalkeeper made 4. Any update on your Aviata brother, Crepeau?
Coming back from injury, working back.
That was rough.
That's a tough one.
Hopefully he's recovering quite well in that one. But in this game, like, Austin just really didn't create a whole lot either, even with just like a low XG of 0.4, which isn't really where you want to be. So to your guys' point, it's clearly the attack. But let's focus on LAFC a little bit. Made it to MLS Cup Finals, we just said. Won on penalties, no more Gareth Bale. I don't know if someone else left. Chiellini is playing a little bit more, but they seem to be doing the business. They look sharp. You see in this game, they make a lot of unselfish runs, to your point, Zarek. They definitely know how they want to open up teams and break them apart. So I guess they seem to be, really setting the pace out for the West.
Yeah, I think that they have started I'm going to say a new chapter. Obviously, they came into the league and they were hot, right? It was them and Atlanta at the time, both started very well. However, they had a year or two, Zarek, where they weren't what they were the first 2 or 3 years. And I think now they've kind of found their feet again. They've gotten their DP signings right. They've gotten their TAM signings right. They've, signed the correct personnel in terms of supplemental roster spot. I mean, they are from top to bottom an organization that really does have it, figured out.
Yeah, I think they have a good model for what they do right now. And something that the average MLS consumer that might not understand is they get a lot of salary cap benefits because they sell so many players. So they get different, I would say they get leeway in terms of I forget the exact, I'd have to double check, but in terms of selling on certain people, you get allocation, right? Because the league wants to sell. So it's become a selling league. Let's buy young players and sell them to Alphonso Davies to, Bayern Munich. That's exactly what they want. And they've done that with Diego Rossi, Rodriguez. I think they sold Atuesta, the list, they have, I think I'm forgetting two of the other guys. So their salary cap looks a little different in the way they manage their roster than other teams. So sometimes you're like, how are they keep signing these players? Well, they keep flipping them. And that's a big, big thing that they're doing well. And I also think that behind some of the flashy signings, I think there's also some very low-key ones personally that hit home, like Ryan Hollingshead. Awesome. MLS vet, plays on the left, plays on the right, not the flashiest guy, but knows the league and kind of can go well and has really developed a good partnership with Carlos Vela, right? Because Carlos, you're going to give him leeway to do things on the attack and knowing that you might need to have that pillar behind him. Tristan Blackman was someone who succeeded in that role previously, and now it's Ryan. And you have someone like Kellen Acosta in the midfield who knows the league, who can kind of run and push the team and drive them away. So you have some, I would say, foreign flair that gets a lot of the headlines and, those things. But then there's a few pieces that really understand MLS and how to succeed in MLS. And shout out Johnny Mack, the goalie from Philly. So we got to give him a run. Obviously, Crepeau's coming back, but shout out to the Philly boy in the back there making some saves. So I think that they have a well-balanced roster and the way they've done it is great. One thing I will say I find interesting is teams that start off in the Champions League sometimes start off hot. You look at the way Seattle did when they won it. They came in booming. They were bumping teams. And then eventually they kind of gassed themselves out because of a lot of the games they play. Toronto did something similar when they went really far. LAFC did something when they were similar far. So they keep the momentum from their success the previous year, making it to a conference final or a final. Very little off season, kind of like Europe. Come back in, and then they push through Champions League. These quick games they're playing Saturday, Wednesday, like Philly did. LAFC played again. I think Belonga scored that game too against, I forget who they played. So they have these quick succession scheduled games. And then once that settles down, they're like, holy shnikes, my legs are really tired. And they kind of go through a little bit of a lull where they have to kind of, and maybe they won't, but I've seen Seattle happen to them. And it happened to Toronto a bit. So we'll see if that happens to LAFC.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great point. Obviously, we have discussed in previous episodes the impact that the Champions League and all of these additional games have. And I think Seattle is the perfect example of that last year with not only the fatigue that they experienced, but the injuries that they also experienced.
Yep.
So
it's accumulation.
Like you said, we'll see. Yep. We'll see what happens with LAFC.
Yeah, they played last week, obviously against Vancouver, won 3-0. Played at the weekend. They got to turn on, play Vanny again. And Philly's away to Atlas. So yeah, it's obviously been a busy 10 days, for these teams as they try to juggle. As you said, Philly had to shuffle up the deck a little bit. A little bit interesting though. LAFC have drawn blanks the last two games on the road at Colorado and Seattle. Seattle's a good team, obviously. So, but when they score in multiples. So every game that they've scored, it's been 2, 3, or 4 goals. So they just have to get
not
the
a bad
one
statistic.
Yeah, they just have to get the one, and then they're cooking. So, all right, let's see what else is on the docket. Miami lost to Dallas. New England Revs continuing to fly, but it was against Montreal 4-0. Red Bull won. San Jose won. New York City FC won. Atlanta won. Chicago 2. Minnesota 1. But Houston 3. LA 0. 3 goals, 3 red cards. Interesting game. Chicharito's back.
Game.
Right? So, I mean, there's a headline there. But LA just not going well with the fans protesting, the transfer ban, just all of these different situations for Greg Vanny and LA Galaxy. The perennial Galacticos. But you look at the roster, and they're just not the same. So anyways, they're going through a lot, but Houston, huh? You both know a little something about the Dynamo. They're doing well. Where do they stand? They're in seventh right now in the West.
They finally look to be finding their feet in the league again. That said, I think a lot of it is on the back of Hector Herrera and his ability to carry the team forward. See, what do you
Benny
think?
ball, baby. Again, shout out to Ben Olsen, the PA guy at the helm. I would say, they're definitely scoring a lot of set piece goals. The one guy has 4 PKs in the last 4 games.
Yeah,
that's a lot. And then Hector's goal. Yeah,
Bossy.
Hector's goal was off a free kick. And I think one of the previous weeks they scored another free kick goal like that, or a late one. But this team is. I would say we'll take them as far as their midfield 3 take them. Their midfield 3, I think, is very good. Archer has had he's had injuries when he was in Columbus, but gets a lot of credit for how well he plays. I was there last year, so I know how good Coco is, and I know how good Hector is, and they have very, very good midfield 3. So I think this team will go as far as those 3 can manipulate possession and win the ball. Right? They're going to have to really perform at the top of their ability levels for a lot of the games. And if they do that, they're going to be they'll be able to manage the flow of the game. They all are very possession oriented guys. So it'll be interesting to see how well they do, because that is their engine. Hector's obviously the captain with the armband and he does his thing, but those other 2 aren't slacks themselves. And if those 3 are on, they're going to be a very good team. If they have some tired legs, then they might be a little difficult, but that team runs through those 3, and that's their heart. If those guys are on, they'll be a tough team to play in the Heat. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Well, and we both know how difficult it is to play in Houston in June, July, and August. 100 degrees hits you in the face real quick.
They play on turf or grass?
They play on grass.
Oh, thank God. There's a little bit of reprieve. I saw the picture of the stadium for the first time. It isn't just wide open.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
It
like the stadium, like there's no reprieve. Like, sometimes half the field's in the shadow, like that one. It's just an open box.
It is. Yes.
It should. It's a very, very nice stadium. There should have been a substantially bigger roof. And there's just like the one side just sitting there baking. If you sit on the far side away from a little, like where the benches are, oh baby.
You're cooking. You're cooking.
You're in for a scorcher. Which is
if you're sitting on the bench, you might as well take your shirt off and catch a suntan. Let me tell you.
There was one game I was afraid that we played Austin. This is the one where Seba scored from half field last year. I looked like an absolute fool on this bench. I'm talking like shorts rolled up. I had the towel over my thing, a hat on. And I was sitting there going, these fans, kudos to them. Who would want to sit out here and just cook for 2 hours, right? Seriously, though, even if the team is undefeated supporter shield, that is so much credit to them. The baseball team, removable stadium top. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Yeah. Minute Maid Park, awesome. You can put a roof on it, no problem. This one, go. Just roll the sleeves up, sit back, get your tan on, because it's baking. It's a beautiful stadium. I think if they could go back, the architect would be like, just close it in a little bit so that we can maybe shield ourselves a little bit from the yellow thing in the sky.
All right.
Yeah, I agree.
It was pretty even from a stats line, but 3 shots on goal from Houston, 3 goals. Bossy with the double, obviously getting the penalty. Bit of a weird back and forth. Is it a pen? Is it a not? I think early in the game, right? Didn't LA have one called and it was called off? Anyways.
Yeah. I think it was one of the center backs actually fouled Memo in the box. Memo Rodriguez, an ex-Houston Dynamo teammate of ours. And it was overturned by VAR.
Yep. So VAR obviously very prevalent this season, just in general. Have you guys seen it poke its head in any of your games, Eric?
Actually, last game, when Kai scored the first goal, they had flagged him for offsides late, right? Like a delayed offside, and then went back and realized he actually wasn't offsides. So sadly, we were on the bad end of that one. But To go back to the Houston game, did you see Caceres' red card?
So that's where I was getting next. I feel like we touched on the goals. We can put on the red cards. So Caceres, he got his earlier in the game, run a play, whatever. But then as they were VAR checking, right, because there's a penalty in the 65th minute, he went up while the referee was at the pitch side monitor. And at first he's just talking to him. And the guy was like, hey, yeah, go away. But then he put his hand on him. And I don't know if he kind of pulled on him a little bit or what, but that referee spun around real quick. Second caution, sent off, gone. And then I think they also allowed the goal or called the pen. So it was like double jeopardy for them. I believe you called it ridiculous.
Yeah, he did. He called that right then and there after he issued the second yellow and red card. Right. And I mean, like you said, double jeopardy there.
And then right after that, one of his teammates got, I think it was Puig, got cautioned for complaining as well. So it was just cards flying. It was just absolute chaos. But I mean, hands on referee, is that simple? Don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're told in our preseason meetings, you cannot go over to the VAR thing.
Yeah.
So there's a little outline. And if you go up and look, that's viewed as one. So he's really not setting himself up. One, don't touch the ref. Two, don't walk over there, guy. You played in the World Cup. Cool, but we don't really care that much.
Yeah. And then you get to the Diego Costa one, and you're just thinking, what are you guys doing?
Douglas Costa.
Sorry. Diego Costa played for Chelsea and plays for Wolves. Sorry.
Yeah.
Easy mix up.
They're both crazy.
Yes. Yeah, they are both crazy. That is just, it's unacceptable. Both red cards are just silly. And
I missed it. I watched it back a couple times. It seemed all pretty innocuous. What did he do?
Oh, you didn't see it?
No, I missed it.
Little guy, Brooklyn Reigns, 17-year-old kid, baby. I think the ball goes out. So he picks it up to fake a throw in.
Yep.
And then he went to go grab the ball from him and he kind of moved the ball away.
Yep.
So he reached his arm and
just
threw him on the ground.
Just saw it.
Elbow around the neck, threw him on the ground. And for me, that's a I'm really angry at my life right now kind of play, right? I'm angry,
frustrated at the situation kind of moment.
Everything, right? That's not anything that he's consciously doing. That's just he's angry at everything going on in his life and probably frustration with the game and the way the team's going and maybe not getting minutes he wants and whatever. And he's just like, F it. Let's just hog tie Brooklyn Reigns and get out of here.
Let's dance, big boy.
Easily violent conduct. To your point, Douglas Costa's got to be in his 30s. Played for some of the biggest teams across Europe. Won a ton of trophies. He's not coming here to prove himself, right? No. And so for him to do that, to your point, especially against a teenager, is a bad look. And then he kind of just kept going like he thought nothing was going to happen. I'm like, he knew exactly what was going to happen. But
then he doesn't do himself any other favors by punting the ball away.
Is that a fine? You guys get fined for shenanigans after?
It's a yellow card offense as well.
Well, it didn't matter at that point. He already got sent off.
No, but it's also just one of those things. The Caceres and the Costa, you're thinking, well, what are you guys doing? You guys have the experience and the maturity to be leaders on this team. And I think it's just a sign of, we just said, frustration finally hitting that point and boiling over. I think everybody at LA Galaxy has just kind of had enough.
Yeah, they've been on the tough end, I think, of 2 or 3 PK calls. If I give them a little bit of a fair shake a bit. I mean, you would just expect that guys who both played for Coleman Bowl national, right? I think Costa's played for Brazil. Mm-hmm. The other guys started the World Cup for Uruguay, and they're veteran players that, again, I think maybe saw red for 1 or 2 minutes, not even a few seconds, and then something happened, and that's just those things happen. But you'd like to expect your veteran players to understand the moment. It puts your team at a disadvantage. I think I'm always laugh at the soccer ball punt. We're not the most aggressive players, So like the best thing we can do is like grab a ball and like try to kick it out of the stadium. I mean, it's almost like trying to figure out like which ones are worse, like soccer scuffles or baseball ones. Because baseball clearing of the benches, like the guys from the bullpen run out and like they just slowly jog like nothing happened. I know.
Yeah.
So I always find it funny that
That's funny.
soccer. I mean, those are the two, and you're thinking like this guy just punted the ball. Like I know you're angry, but like you feel better now, like because I've seen guys do it for years.
Yeah.
And Hector got sent off for a late tackle on his teammate, Chicharito, obviously the Mexican national team. And it was totally a second yellow, like just left his foot in, caught Javier Hernandez. And so you had 3 kind of like top professional European players come over to me, and you guys don't have to say anything. It felt like just a lack of discipline, almost like they don't take it as serious as it would. Cause you're like, they would never do something like that there. Do they feel like they can get away with it? Is LA just imploding this season? Cause it does. Like, these are the things where it just looks like they're already down 3-0. They picked up 2 red cards. One was a second yellow. The other one's a straight red. And you're just like, suspensions are coming. This isn't going to help them at all. I feel bad for Greg Vanny because I don't know what he has for levers to pull with this team, but it's not the balance that you think they'd want. And I read a preseason prediction that people were like, oh yeah, Galaxy with Puig, he's like potential MVP of the season. Like, they're definitely going to make the playoffs. They're championship contenders. And you just kind of look at it this season. You're like, you guys are in 13th in the West. Like, you haven't won a game yet. Something isn't going to play.
I mean, not knowing any of these 3 players, I think Caceres and Costa is a lack of discipline. I think Herrera is one of those ones where it kind of just happens. It's 2 yellow cards. It happens. I think a player of his position often makes silly challenges, or when you're in late in the game and the legs are tired, you're half a second late. And I don't think it's a lack of discipline. I think it's just fatigue hitting him at that point. Obviously he's a little bit older now. It's in Houston. It's hot. It's in the 80th to 90th minute.
95th.
Okay, so it's in the 95th minute. Yeah, it's late. And he's half a second late. He doesn't overreact when he sees the second yellow coming. He knows, he accepts it, takes the armband off, hands it off, and walks off the field.
Should have punted a ball. What an opportunity.
Yeah, should have punted a ball. I mean, what a grown up for not punting a ball.
Hey, when you win a PK shootout this season, Cody, I want you to just punt the ball once it's over.
If I save a penalty, I'm going to take it and I'm just going to punt it. I'm just going to take the yellow card right then and there. Right then and there, I'm going to take the yellow card.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, dude, Hector's one. It's funny because he posted an Instagram after the game. He was like, "Always good seeing you, Chicharito." Like, I think it was a tweet. It was a post. Always great seeing you, but I didn't touch you. That's what he tweeted in Spanish. Yeah, that one. And Hector's an awesome dude, and he plays hard. You would like to think again, dude. 95th minute, drop 3-0. You don't even need to double. You don't even need to double down, bro. At this point, you could be walking back. But again, I will say, he knows he shouldn't have even put himself in that position. But again, in my opinion, it's also a testament to him trying to be, and I know that he takes a lot of pride in being the dude for Houston. And it hasn't always gone great, but I know he's wanted to do that. We've had team events last year where he came in and was a good influence. And I think for someone of his caliber to play the places he's been, to be the captain of the Mexican national team for a bit, and to still be playing hard in the 95th minute when you're up 3-0, I think it's kind of the things he wants to stand for. And that's the kind of team he wants them to be. So whether it costs him $500 in a game, I don't know. But ultimately, I think he would say it's a small price to pay for he wants that to be the standard. And again, kudos, because I think it's, I think that he's been awesome since he's come in, and, he's flourishing now. And you see a lot of players that come into the league, figure it out for a little bit, and then year 2 and beyond, they're like, oh, this guy's all right.
Yeah,
He's definitely settled in. You know, I think it took him a little bit. But to be fair, most players from Europe have an adjusting period. It's just whether or not they're going to stick around long enough to make the adjustment, or if they're just like, I'm good. I tried it. He has always been a hard worker. He had an absolute class goal today. So it's probably a mix of legs and, just a little bit, or I guess, just constantly working hard. So kudos to him. All right, we're going to take a real quick break. We still have a few more, but before we do, shout out to Cody's good old friends, Owen. And apparently, Zarek, you're pretty good friends with Owen too.
Actually, he is the
face?
The face of Owen. He is the reason that I have my plug with Owen.
Ooh.
This is the original
You're
Owen.
Cody's guy?
He is my guy.
It's so funny watching you two text about it. You guys like, what product, what flavor? You're like, I have so many.
Oh, you mean this whole thing right here?
This one?
Wow. What are we rocking with, boys?
We are rocking the cookies and creamless. Look, this product is free from the top allergens, meaning there is no dairy, no wheat, no gluten, no soy, no egg, no peanuts, no nuts, no fish, shellfish, chemicals, fillers, artificial colors, flavors, or sweeteners. This is a top product, and both Zarek and I love it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's actually just an empty bottle. It's an empty bottle. So
yeah.
I was like, what's left?
Nothing you don't need. Yeah, nothing you don't need. Only what you need. So like, just
it's awesome. That's awesome.
Just oxygen.
All right.
Yeah, no, I have one every day for breakfast. We actually stock them at the facility. I have one every single day. I'm not a huge breakfast guy. I'm not. Cody and I are roommates. I'm not someone who wakes up and is like, I'm gonna have 3 eggs over easy, toast, bacon, blood sausage, baked beans. Like, no, that's not how I am. So for me, the shake is perfect. I do 32. There's different levels of protein. I do 32 grams of protein because it's more filling than the 20. The 20 is kind of viewed as a meal replacement a lot of times. So if you want a healthy meal replacement, that's not just a bunch of garbage. I love it.
Yeah.
One of my best friends from high school, I think his fiance or long-term girlfriend. Sorry, Nick. He worked for them, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty awesome stuff." And then we kind of got in touch and passed it along to Cody. Got Julian Gressel on the train, so we'll see what goes.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Well, it's true. I just learned that apparently a protein shake for a workout actually goes a lot further. So I've started to do that instead of highly caffeinated pre-workouts and all that other stuff. So I get it. Yeah. So tons of flavors. Again, protein shake or meal replacement. Either way, super clean, nothing but literally what you need. Go check it out. Really good brand. And you got a couple of pros telling you they take it almost every single day. So code and link in the description per usual. Boom. All right, next one up, Kansas City, still just sucking it up, unfortunately. Colorado, though, can we get a round of applause? Colorado's on the first board. Game?
Wow.
Shout out Robin
What
Fraser.
An accomplishment. Good for them.
They broke their duck. They have a point, or they have a win. So they are on 6 points. So they've had 3 draws. And in Kansas City, though, on the flip side, you can't do too much. They are 14th in the West. They still have yet to win a game. And if you go top to bottom, like a traditional table, Kansas City are in 29th. They are rock bottom. So good for Colorado to get a win, and on the road nonetheless. They didn't have to rely on their advantage of the altitude. Nashville 0, Toronto 0, Salt Lake 3, Charlotte 1. And then the last game that we're going to cover is Seattle 3, St. Louis 0. Cody, you cursed them. It's all your fault.
I think it was the Minnesota defeat that really cursed them. I mean,
okay. I didn't want to put it all at Zarek, but here we are.
Yep.
I want to hear about St. Louis, right? From your perspective, you guys filmed, prepped. They were wildly overperforming on their XG, by the way. I think they had an XG about 8 in the middle of the run, but they had scored 12. Obviously, they got in the pass backs. They had most goals scored inside the 18. Things were just going their way. They're just riding their hot hand, but you guys you got a bit chippy with them. You disrupted them a little bit, huh?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you can't take away they started out hot, right? 5 straight wins, not even ties. But if you look at the goals that they were scoring, right? First game, 2-1, set piece in the pass back by the center back. And then they played, I think, Charlotte. Charlotte had an own goal. They had a pass back in that game as well, right? And then I think one more from there. Salt Lake, corner kick that they scored from. Ruiz gave the ball to Klaus. Another one was a bad clearance. So they were very opportunistic. They have skill players. The center forward's very good. Their 10 is very good. But they were very opportunistic, and they scored a lot of goals off other teams' mistakes and set pieces. And they were getting results from that. And that is a recipe also for how to get results in MLS. If you can win those moments, you'll end up doing well. I think that teams scoring first on them is what's going to make it difficult, because they're a team that, similar to Red Bulls, likes to try to force the other team into making mistakes, into the way they kind of play it in a similar way. And then if they have to chase the game a bit, then they're going to have to open up. And that's where you'll see things be a little bit different. Similar to Austin, right? LAFC goes to Austin, yeah. LAFC scores first. Austin has to then open up, and then it's a little bit different. So I don't think this is the end of the road by any means. They have a lot of skilled players, and they're still figuring it out a little bit on the fly. But, honestly, for most teams, you could say going into Seattle losing 3-0, it's a tough one. First goal was a banger, too, Atencio's. Banger.
Yeah. First goal of his MLS career as well.
Exactly. So he scored a banger. Rui Diaz comes on and scores. Again, 3-0 in Seattle. You could put that on any team's score sheet, and no one would be like, "Oh, that's a tough result."
Yeah, no. You could put that on any goalkeeper's resume too, and most goalkeepers would look at that and go, "Yeah, it probably happened to me."
I mean, Seattle, they are just absolutely clicking. They lost to Cincy 1-0, right? Drew to LAFC. Other than that, they've really just performed at a high level. Jordan Morris, with a very strong hold on the goals record right now with 8. He had 3 or 4? Didn't he have 4 in one game earlier?
Yeah, versus KC.
I mean, hey, everybody wants a shot at KC in Montreal right now. That's just the way it's going. But yeah, Cody, you were predicting that they would go, I think, 5-0, 6-0 until they got to Seattle. And obviously Minnesota got them first, but Seattle put them into play. So it's 2 losses in a row, Cody. They got to hit reset. They got to come back to the team meetings. They got to sort it out a little bit. If you look at their productivity, they still got 9 shots, only 2 on goal, and created a 0.6 XG. Seattle got a 1.3, but knocked in 3. Obviously had the own goal at the end. I don't think any of those goals were very high XGs either. They were some absolute peaches. But yeah, where's Seattle, or where does St. Louis go from here?
They need to regroup. Obviously, they have FC Cincinnati next, which, as we've said, is not an easy game.
This schedule,
and you really don't want to go 3 losses in a row. They need. I believe they play in Cincinnati. I think they need to go to Cincinnati and pick a point up, or they need to pick a point up versus Cincinnati, whether home or away.
They're home.
You do not want to be losing 3 games in a row after winning your first 5 and having, the league is your oyster kind of thing.
That's a tough back-to-back. Seattle on the road, Cincy at home, Zarek. But it's going to be a good character test for him.
For sure. And this is what you want to see as a coach, right? It's easy to coach when your team's won 5 straight. But now you're on the opposite end of that. So you're going to see, who jumps. Not that anyone's jumping ship, but you see how players react in good and bad situations. Yeah. Some are a little bit more calm, and this is a young team. They only have Tim Parker, who's over 30, and Berkey, the goalie, I think. Besides that, maybe Jake Nowinski's 29.
Well. Yeah.
Yeah, so they have Jake, who's 20 or 30, and that's it. Everyone else is mid-low 20s. So it'll be interesting to see how this young team manages everything. I can say that St. Louis is a tough place to play. It's no joke there. Crowd is loud. Crowd is involved. They're standing the entire game. It's a tough place to play. Maybe we got in early enough to where we were, still when they're figuring it out, and we're able to get a result. I think it's a grind. You have to go there and be able to grind it out. And if you don't, then they can put in 3 or 4 like they've done on a few teams. So it'll be interesting to see how this young group reacts going forward.
Yeah, I'm excited. They absolutely captured the attention of the entire league. And it was the greatest storyline for MLS to push around. So obviously they got a lot of airtime, a lot of limelight, but Seattle's just kind of quietly doing the business, guys. Whooped up on Colorado 4-0, beat Salt Lake 2-0. Like I said, lost to Cincy, beat KC 4-1, beat LA Galaxy 2-1, and now St. Louis. I mean, Cody, I feel like they're like a game by game team, and they've got ultimate confidence that even if they go down a goal, they're fine. They're really not worried about it because they know what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, they're a joy to watch. Honestly, they are week to week. Their performances are team performances. They have good players. They have very good players, but they don't lean on any one specific player more than another. They are a very well structured team, and they have great team camaraderie, and they're able to mitigate games and work through games and use the pieces that are on the field, whether it's their star striker Rui Diaz or whether it's leaning on João Paulo to clean things up in the midfield. They do it as a team. And, they are not only using the maturity and the experience that they've paid money for, but also the youth that they have been able to develop and bring through the academy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they're very good. And they, even to this point, this Leo Chu guy. So typically Rui Diaz is the one who plays up top, but they played Morris up top while I think Diaz was coming back from an injury. And Chu's been banging in assists and goals and stuff. So then I think it was last game or this past game, Diaz was fully fit, and Schmetzer still played Morris because he's like, this guy, Chu, deserves it. And you're leaving your DP on the bench. Yeah. And it just shows, hey, we're going to play these good guys, and they're a very good team, right? Signing Albert Rusnak last year, they have 2 good center backs, Fries and goal. I mean, they're a very good team. Playing in Seattle sucks. It's a tough place to play. So they're a very mature team that's gone through some successes. A lot of that team that won in 19, 17 and 19, I think, the two, is still there. The Roldans, Morris, Lodero, Rui Diaz, Fry, Nuhu, a lot of that core is still there. So that continued continuity and success is something that they have to kind of just refine and maybe do some tactics. And then you sprinkle in some of these young kids. I mean, the Tencio, he scored his first goal last week, right? Banger. And again, they're doing a lot of right things up there. It pains me as an old Timbers player to say that, but they're a good team, and they're well coached. And they're always a tough game. They're always a tough game. And even Kansas City is always like that. They might be going through a tough moment, but they got the better of Portland in the game that they lost the first game of the season, I think. But they're always a tough game. There's so many difficult games, and Cody knows that. When you play in MLS, I think the West is stacked with just good teams, so you can't look at your whole schedule and be like, oh, we can get 3 points there, maybe pinch them there, do this. Like every game's like, man, it's a dogfight. And going to Seattle is a dogfight. So it's a tough one for St. Louis to put off, and I guarantee those guys learned, and they'll continue to do so from that.
Yeah. Hey, no one said you had to like Seattle being good. Don't worry, we're not putting that on. Yeah, I tell you what, Seattle, absolutely one of the most complete teams. You look through the stats. Obviously, Jordan Morris leading the goals. Leo Chu is tied at the top with assists with Almada with 5. And then you go, and Fry's got the second most clean sheets in the league. They just do it all. They're second in goals. They're second in assists. They're just in and amongst it all at all these different levels. And again, it's on both sides of the ball. They're settled, right? They're just making little tweaks here and there, optimizing. they've got it kind of figured out. So I tell you what, overall, again, if you just do the formal table, it's Cincinnati at the top with 17 points, Seattle second with 16 points. And obviously, New England Revolution are right there, 16 points as well. St. Louis rounds it out with 15 total points. And I tell you what, it is starting to develop, right, where the league is starting to settle. But we just know that there's, with the break in the middle of the season, what is that cup called against the Liga MX?
The League's Cup.
The League's Cup. Like, not only did we have a Winter World Cup, let's just sprinkle in a brand new competition. Like, let's just add all these different things. And so no one's going to know what the MLS season is going to be like, because we've never done anything like this. So like I said, even though we're starting to see it settle, gentlemen, it's really going to be a tale of two halves, and we'll have to figure it out.
Yep.
All right. Hey, Cody, it's your favorite time. The Audi team of the match day.
Oh God, team of the match day.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I don't know who made that decision not to change it from week to match day. It's terrible.
Oh,
well, someone in Europe coined man of the match. They trademarked it, so Champions League has to call it, or the EPL has to call it Bud or King of the Match. And I think, I forgot what the World Cup called it, but that'd do something different. So I bet same thing, someone trademarked it, and so MLS had to find something else. So team of the match day.
Oh God, it's terrible.
Yep. Ivacic in goal. Farsi, Miazga, and Escobar is the back three. Julian Gressel, the only attacker to not have scored. Carlos Gil, Atencio, Savarino, and then up top, Buanga, obviously, Kamara, and Bassi. A lot of goals in that team. That is for sure.
Again, we said it last week. It seems like you have to score goals to get into the team of the match day. It's weird. It's like Audi sponsors it or something. I don't know.
I tell you what, though, I'll give them credit. That was the best brand partnership I've ever seen, when they did the goals with the Audi logo in the middle.
Yeah,
I will give credit there. Whoever wrote that, I was like, you know what? That's actually really good. I'll give you that. I'll watch your stupid little banner in the middle of the game. That was good.
I agree.
Man. All right, Zarek, man, we appreciate you jumping on and hanging out. I know it's a lot to ask for you to hang out with Cody during times like this, but it's been nice.
Thanks, bud.
It's been awesome. No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's great. It's great listening in and catching you guys and hearing your perspective, especially hearing your perspective, Cody, and I would say getting yours from a different side of things. It's a good little contrast. I love it. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm the antagonist.
Man. Yes, you are the antagonist. You are the antagonist.
It'll be good.
It was a pleasure to have you on, as always, to catch up. So
we'll do it again.
Always.
No doubt. We'll
Absolutely.
do it again.
Maybe we'll have you on during the League's Cup, because I will have no insight to that. And you can tell me all about what is going on there.
I don't think we'll know either. We're just going to wing it. Just like most MLS things, we'll just figure it out as we go.
It's going to be like the MLS's back tournament, right? We're just going to go there, show up, and hope for the best.
Oh, man. What a time to be alive that was.
Oh,
what
goodness.
a time.
You're right.
Have you guys even talked about it yet? Or is it just far enough away that you're not even worried about it?
My roommate was sitting on his balcony smoking cigarettes. Actually, not my roommate, the guy who was sitting next to me. So I was just downwind from cigarette smoke.
This is MLS's back. This is MLS's back.
Oh, yeah. Sitting.
Oh, I know. I know exactly who you're talking about. I remember.
Yeah, we would sit out. This guy's just chain smoking cigs. Just like, hey, bud, how's it going? You good? Yep. All right. Buddy? We're all just living life here. Yep. I guess we'll Instacart some snacks to the room because we're locked up. Yeah, literally.
That was funny. That was
tough. Well, it's not till when? The League's
June?
Cup.
July.
It's July.
June or July.
Or late
Here
June.
it is. July 21st is when it kicks off. So, again, you guys kick it off with Puebla on the 23rd.
Yep. And Chicago Fire, which, again, it's going to be fun. It's just so funny. You play teams, more. Obviously, in other leagues, you play them twice. But to kind of play them in multiple competitions, it always makes me chuckle. To, whether we play Open Cup, we might play another team, so we play them 3-4 times in a year, and obviously that can happen in England. But it's just comical that teams will play other teams multiple times. I remember we played Seattle 5 times, I think, in one year, because it was Open Cup and the playoffs and then the regular season. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's kind of annoying.
Couldn't get rid of Liverpool last year, Cody. Your ugly red team. Played them in 2 cup finals and twice in the league. Bit obnoxious seeing you lot over and over. It'll be interesting. Like I said, I mean, you guys are just gonna have to be like, all right, I guess we'll pause and go around. But you play at home, so there's gonna be a shit ton of travel with this, isn't there?
Yeah, it could turn out to be the top 2 teams will advance from the group. So essentially, if you win, you're almost secured to go through with the way things line up. But it'll be interesting because I know that they're just trying to push interleague play and rivalries and everything like that. And I don't know if they'll be on Apple TV Plus. I'm sure all the games will be at the exact same time, so you're gonna have to keep switching in between because they're just going to be
fantastic.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. And I mean, ultimately, it'll be a good experience for a lot of guys. I've never played a Mexican team before. I've only played Costa Rican or other ones. So it'll be a good experience, and to get different people at Allianz will be fun.
For sure.
It looks like almost all the games are at the MLS stadiums.
Yeah, I think it's all in the U.S.
Interesting. And just another dynamic. Yeah, because I was like, damn, are you guys going to go down to Puebla? I studied abroad there. It's just south of Mexico City. And I was like, again, that would be a lot. But then these Mexican Liga MX teams have to come up and live here for a month. Like, what a disruption.
Again, I'm sure that the higher ups are, getting
figuring all this out.
Yeah, those Mexican teams
they're getting busy trying to entice them, right? So they're probably getting sponsors to help pay for them to come up, because it's a long time, or it's just a lot of flights. That's a lot of travel. So I'm sure they're being compensated in some way or another to make it as easy. If not, I mean, that's a long flight, baby. That's a
it is
6-7 hour flight.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Well, we'll circle back on that one. It'll be interesting. But anyways, Zarek, thanks so much. Obviously, links to him in the description. Follow him along with Minnesota United this season. Cody, appreciate you bringing all your friends on, sharing you guys' story. Owen for the win. Links in the description for that one as well. So that'll wrap us up. We'll be back with Game Week 8. Cody's match previews of which games to watch. We'll be back Friday or Saturday. I don't know. Depends on.
See.
Are you home?
Depends
or away
on travel.
Weekend?
I'm home, so you'll get them Friday.
All right. The guy gets to sleep in his own bed. How nice. All right.
Yes.
If you would, 5-star review and Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Check us out on social media. All the clips and videos are on YouTube. Let us know what you think. Rate us. Share it with a friend. Anyways, we'll be back with Game Week 8. See you later.